They told me I'd save lives, that I'd be a healer, a medic, someone who brought hope to the battlefield, someone who made a difference. What they didn't tell me was how many I'd watched die, how many I'd hold while they bled out, how many I'd failed to save no matter how hard I tried. Specialist David Chen, Doc, they called me. Everyone called their medic Doc. I was 20 years old in 1970, too young to drink legally, old enough to watch boys my age die in my arms. I grew up in San Francisco, Chinatown. My parents ran a small restaurant, worked 16-hour days, wanted better for me, pushed education, college, success, the American dream. I was pre-med at UC Berkeley, 2 years in, planning to be a doctor, a real doctor, not this. Then my student deferment got pulled, Nixon's lottery. My birthday came up number 15. 15. Might as well have been number 1. I was going to Vietnam, whether I liked it or not. I could have fled to Canada. A lot of guys did. No judgment from me. But my parents were immigrants, believed in this country, in duty, in serving. They'd be ashamed if I ran, heartbroken. So I didn't run. I enlisted. If I was going anyway, I'd go on my terms. Medical training seemed like a natural choice. I had 2 years of pre-med, new biology, anatomy, chemistry. The Army put me through combat medic school, Fort Sam Houston, 10 weeks of intensive training, how to treat wounds, how to stop bleeding, how to save lives under fire. They taught us triage, the art of deciding who lives and who dies, immediate, delayed, minor, expectant. That last category meant you'd die no matter what we did. Save your supplies for someone you can help. Let the expectant ones go. Cold math. Brutal calculus. Necessary, they said. I couldn't imagine it. Looking at a wounded man and deciding he wasn't worth saving, that his life was less valuable than someone else's. But they said in combat you'd understand. You'd have to make those choices, or everyone dies. I graduated top of my class. They offered me instructor positions, hospital assignments, safe jobs away from combat. I turned them down. If guys my age were dying in Vietnam, the least I could do was be there to try to save them. Naive, idealistic, stupid, probably. I shipped out in February 1970. Landed at Cam Ranh Bay. Hot, humid, smelled like jet fuel and decay. They processed us, gave us assignments. I was going to the 25th Infantry Division, operating near the Cambodian border, heavy contact area, high casualty rate. They needed medics. They always needed medics. I joined my platoon in March. Company B, 2nd Battalion, 40 men, mostly draftees like me. Kids from small towns and big cities, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, united by fear and youth and the desperate hope they'd make it home. The platoon sergeant was Staff Sergeant Miller, career Army. 3 tours in Vietnam, seen everything, done everything, survived everything. He looked at me like I was already dead. How old are you, Doc? 20, Sergeant. Jesus. You look like you're 12. He lit a cigarette. You know what you're in for? I'm a medic. I'm here to help. He laughed, bitter, tired. You're here to watch kids die. Watch them call for their mothers. Watch them bleed out faster than you can patch them. You're here to make impossible choices about who lives and who doesn't. And then you're here to carry that guilt for the rest of your life. I'll do my best. Your best won't be enough. Never is. But you'll try anyway. That's what makes it hurt. He was right. About all of it. My aid bag weighed 30 pounds. Bandages, morphine, 4 fluids, antibiotics, tourniquets, surgical tools. Everything I might need to keep someone alive long enough to get them to a hospital. It wasn't enough. Never enough. But it was all I had. The guys in the platoon were suspicious at first. New medic. Didn't know me. Didn't trust me. Their last medic had frozen during a firefight. let a man bleed out while he cowered behind a tree. They'd lost faith. I had to earn it back. Had to prove I wouldn't freeze, wouldn't run, would be there when they needed me. Talk is cheap. Combat shows the truth. My first week was quiet. Patrols through the jungle, searching for an enemy that seemed like ghosts. We'd find signs, trails, old camps, but never them. They watched us. We knew they were there, but they didn't engage. The waiting was almost worse than fighting, the tension. The knowledge that any moment could explode into violence. Every step could be your last. Every bush could hide a rifle. Every trail could be mined. I treated minor stuff that first week. Blisters, heat exhaustion, a guy who cut his hand on a machete, routine medical care. The guys started to relax around me, started to trust, started calling me Doc without the edge of suspicion. Then March 28th happened. We were on patrol, standard sweep, looking for enemy activity, moving through thick jungle, single file, slow, careful. The point man stepped on something, heard a click, knew instantly what it meant. Mine. He froze, looked back at us, terror in his eyes. "Don't move!" Sergeant Miller was shouting. "Nobody move!" But it was too late. The point man shifted his weight. The mine detonated. The blast threw him backward, tore his leg off at the knee. Blood everywhere. Bone, tissue, screaming. Everyone hit the ground, expecting more mines, more explosions. But there was just the one, and the screaming, constant screaming. "Doc, Doc, get up here." I moved. Didn't think, just moved. Crawled forward, staying low, watching for more mines. Reached the point man. His name was Patterson, 18 years old, from Iowa, farm kid. Wanted to go home and work the land with his father. Now he was missing a leg. Arterial bleeding, spurting, pumping. He'd be dead in minutes if I didn't stop it. I went to work, my first real casualty, my first test. And all I could think was, don't let him die, don't let him die, don't let him die. My training kicked in, tourniquet, above the knee, twist, tighten, stop the bleeding. Patterson was screaming, crying, begging me to save his leg. I couldn't look at his face, just focused on the work, on the wound, on keeping him alive. The bleeding slowed, stopped. I started an IV, pushed morphine. His screaming faded to whimpering. His eyes found mine, scared, lost, looking for reassurance I couldn't give. Am I going to die, Doc? I should have said no, should have lied, comforted him. But the truth came out. Not if I can help it. The medevac came, dust off. Most beautiful sound in Vietnam, helicopter blades, salvation. They took Patterson, flew him to a field hospital. I never saw him again. Later heard he survived. Lost the leg, but lived. Sent home. Medical discharge. My first save, my first victory. I should have felt proud, felt accomplished. Instead, I felt sick. Because Patterson's war was over. His life was changed forever. And this was just day one for me. 12 more months of this. 12 more months of blood and screaming and impossible choices. I had no idea what was coming. No idea how much worse it would get. No idea that Patterson's injury would seem easy compared to what I'd see. What I'd failed to fix. What I'd carry forever. But I was about to learn. We all were. April 1970. We'd been running patrols near the Cambodian border for 2 weeks. Intelligence said NVA units were using Cambodia as sanctuary, crossing over, attacking, then running back where we couldn't follow. Rules of engagement, political boundaries that meant nothing to them but everything to us. April 15th. We were set up in a night defensive position. Perimeter, claymores out, trip flares, listening posts, standard procedure. The jungle was dark, oppressively dark. You couldn't see 3 feet in front of you, just listened for movement. for sounds that didn't belong. I was awake, couldn't sleep, never could on operations. Too much adrenaline, too much fear. Kept my aid bag close, always close. You never knew when you'd need it. Around 0300 hours, the jungle exploded. RPGs, automatic weapons fire, mortars. We were under attack, full assault. The NVA had found us, surrounded us, were trying to overrun our position. Incoming, incoming, everyone was firing. Muzzle flashes everywhere. Tracers crisscrossing, red and green, theirs and ours. The noise was overwhelming, deafening. You couldn't hear orders, couldn't hear anything but gunfire and explosions. An RPG hit near the command post. Massive explosion. I saw bodies fly, heard screaming, grabbed my aid bag, ran toward the sound. 3 men down. 1 was dead, head gone, nothing I could do. The second was gut shot, intestines visible. 3rd had shrapnel in his chest, both screaming, both bleeding, both dying. Triage, that word from training. Who do you save first? The gut shot was expectant. Too much damage, too much internal bleeding. The chest wound had a chance if I acted fast. I went to the chest wound first. PFC Martinez, from Texas, 19 years old, sucking chest wound, lung collapsed. I slapped on an occlusive dressing, taped 3 sides, let the 4th vent, stopped the pneumothorax from getting worse, started an IV morphine. The gut shot was still screaming, still conscious, still looking at me, begging with his eyes, save me, help me, don't let me die. But if I stopped working on Martinez, Martinez would die. If I worked on the gut shot, I'd lose them both. Cold math, brutal calculus. The training said prioritize. I prioritized. I worked on Martinez, stabilized him, called for medevac, hoped they could get in under fire, hoped he'd survive long enough. The gut shot stopped screaming, went quiet. I looked over. His eyes were still open, still looking at me, but he was dead. Bled out internally while I worked on someone else 20 feet away. His name was Johnson, from Ohio, 20 years old. He died watching me save someone else. Died knowing I'd chosen. Died alone while the battle raged around him. First man I let die by choice. First time I played God. First time I understood what Sergeant Miller meant. Your best won't be enough. Never is. The firefight lasted 2 hours. Felt like 2 days. We held the perimeter, barely, pushed them back. When dawn came, we counted casualties. 4 dead, 11 wounded. I'd treated 9 of the 11, saved 7, lost 2, lost. As if they were misplaced. As if I'd simply forgotten where I put them. They weren't lost. They were dead. Dead because I couldn't save everyone. Because I had to choose. Because war doesn't give you enough hands or enough time or enough supplies. Martinez survived. Medevac got him out. Hospital in Da Nang. Then Japan. Then stateside. He'd live. Permanently disabled, but alive. My second save. Should have felt like a victory. Johnson's death felt heavier than Martinez's life. The platoon looked at me differently after that night. With respect, I'd run through fire to get to the wounded, worked under direct fire, saved men who would have died. They saw courage, dedication, a medic who wouldn't quit. I saw failure. I saw Johnson's eyes. I saw the choice I'd made. I saw proof that I couldn't save them all, no matter how hard I tried. You did good, Doc, Sergeant Miller said. Saved a lot of lives. I let Johnson die. Johnson was dead the moment that shrapnel hit him. You know it. I know it. You saved the ones you could save. That's all anyone can ask. Is it? Is that enough? It has to be. Because it's all we've got. The operations continued. More patrols, more contact, more casualties. I treated them all. Gunshot wounds, shrapnel, burns, traumatic amputations, everything combat could throw at human bodies. Some I saved, some I stabilized, Some I just made comfortable while they died. That was the worst. The ones you knew were gone, but were still conscious, still aware, still hoping you could work a miracle. You'd hold their hand, tell them they'd be okay. Lie, the kind lie, the mercy lie. Let them believe. Then watch the light leave their eyes. Feel their hand go slack. Another death, another name, another face in your dreams. By May, I'd treated 37 casualties. Saved 29. Lost 8. Numbers. Statistics. Body count in reverse. The brass would call that a success rate. 80% survival. Good numbers. Commendable performance. But I didn't see percentages. I saw 8 faces, 8 sets of eyes looking at me, 8 men I'd failed, 8 families who'd get telegrams, 8 empty chairs at dinner tables, 8 holes in the world that would never be filled. The guys in the platoon trusted me completely now. Would run through fire if I called for help. Would lay down their lives to protect me. Because I was their lifeline, their insurance policy, their hope that if they got hit, someone would be there. Someone would try. Someone would care. That trust was crushing. Because I knew the truth. I couldn't save them all. Couldn't protect them from the randomness of war. Couldn't prevent the booby traps and bullets and shrapnel that came without warning. I was just a 20-year-old kid with a bag of medical supplies, playing God in the jungle, making choices that would haunt me forever, carrying weight that got heavier every day. And we were only 3 months in, 9 more months to go. 9 more months of blood and death and impossible choices. 9 more months of watching boys die while I tried desperately to save them. 9 more months of failing, succeeding, surviving, breaking. The jungle was testing me, breaking me down, building me into something else, something harder, something colder, something that could make the impossible choices without hesitating, something that wasn't quite human anymore. June 1970. The Cambodian invasion. Nixon expanded the war, sent us across the border. No more sanctuary for the NVA, no more safe zones. We were taking the fight to them, except it wasn't a fight. It was a slaughter, on both sides. We crossed into Cambodia on June 3rd. Company-sized operation, 120 men, supposed to find and destroy NVA base camps, cut their supply lines, disrupt their operations, quick in and out. They said it wasn't quick and it wasn't clean. The NVA were waiting. They'd had weeks to prepare. Bunker complexes, fighting positions, ambush points. They let us get deep into Cambodia, then closed the trap. We walked into a horseshoe ambush, 3 sides, automatic weapons, RPGs, mortars, pre-registered fields of fire. They'd set it up perfectly. We were caught in the kill zone with nowhere to go. Men started dropping immediately. The initial volley cut through the column like a scythe. I heard screaming from everywhere, multiple casualties, too many, way too many. Doc, over here. Doc, man down. Medic, we need a medic. The calls came from every direction. I couldn't be everywhere at once, couldn't save everyone, had to prioritize, had to choose, again, always choosing. I ran to the nearest casualty, PFC Williams, shot through the neck, arterial bleeding, spurting. I jammed my fingers into the wound, applied pressure, direct pressure, only thing that works for arterial bleeds. My hands were instantly covered in blood, hot, slick, pulsing. Williams was gurgling, choking, blood filling his airway. I tried to keep pressure on the neck while clearing his mouth. Impossible. Needed 3 hands, only had 2. He kept choking, kept drowning in his own blood. Stay with me. Stay with me. His eyes were panicked, terrified. He knew he was dying, knew I couldn't save him. His hands grabbed my wrists, squeezed, desperate, then went slack, eyes fixed, gone. 15 seconds. That's how long I'd been with him. 15 seconds from hit to death. No time, no chance, nothing I could do. Doc, over here. Another casualty, then another, then another. I moved between them, triage on the fly. This one's savable, that one's not. This one needs immediate attention, that one can wait. Quick assessments, life or death decisions made in seconds. Corporal Jackson had his arm nearly severed, hanging by threads of tissue, arterial bleeding, tourniquet, high and tight, stopped the bleeding, morphine. Tag him, move to the next. Private Lee had abdominal wounds, intestines protruding, expectant, nothing I could do. I gave him morphine, all I could offer, comfort, then moved on, left him there, still conscious, still aware, knowing I'd abandoned him. Specialist Brooks had facial wounds, lower jaw gone, airway compromised, breathing but barely. I packed the wound, positioned him to drain, kept his airway open, called for priority medevac, moved on. The fighting continued around me. I wasn't shooting, wasn't fighting, just moving, treating, trying to keep people alive. The enemy knew what I was, could see my medic armband, Red Cross on white. Geneva Convention said they couldn't shoot me. They shot anyway, bullets zipping past, RPGs exploding nearby. They didn't care about conventions or rules, just killing. I got hit, round through my left arm, didn't even feel it at first. Adrenaline, just noticed blood running down. Realized I'd been shot, kept working, couldn't stop. Too many wounded. My arm still worked, good enough. Sergeant Miller found me, grabbed me, yelled in my face. Doc, you're hit. Let someone else. There is no one else. I'm the only medic. You're no good to anyone dead. Then I better not die. I shook him off, moved to the next casualty, and the next, and the next. Lost count, lost track of time, lost track of everything except the work, the wounds, the bleeding, the dying. The medevac couldn't get in, too hot, too much fire. They tried twice, took hits both times, had to pull back. We were on our own. The wounded would have to hold on and hope we could get them out eventually. Eventually. Some didn't have that long. Private Lee died while I was treating someone else. Abdominal wounds, the expectant case. He'd been calling for me. Weak calls, getting weaker. Then silence. When I checked on him, he was gone, eyes open, staring at nothing. Dead alone while I worked 20 feet away. 3 more died during the fight. Wounds too severe, blood loss too great, time too short. They died despite everything I did, despite every skill, every effort, every desperate attempt. The firefight lasted 4 hours, felt like forever. When it finally ended, when the NVA pulled back, we counted the cost. 18 dead, 32 wounded, nearly half the company. Worst day of the deployment. Worst day of my life. I'd treated 28 of the wounded, saved 23, lost 5. 5 men who died under my hands, or near my hands, or calling for my hands. 5 more faces, 5 more ghosts. My arm was still bleeding. Hadn't had time to treat myself. A corpsman from another platoon patched me up, through and through. Missed bone, missed major vessels. Lucky. I'd barely noticed. I sat down, first time in 4 hours, looked at my hands, covered in blood. Not my blood, everyone else's blood, dried, caked, under my nails, in the creases, on my uniform, in my hair, everywhere. I started shaking, couldn't stop. Shock, exhaustion, delayed trauma. My body finally acknowledging what I'd been through, what I'd seen, what I'd done, what I'd failed to do. Sergeant Miller sat next to me, didn't speak, just sat. Both of us covered in blood, both of us carrying fresh weight, fresh death, fresh guilt. 5, I finally said. I lost 5. You saved 23. I lost 5. Doc. Williams died in 15 seconds. I couldn't even stop his bleeding. Lee called for me and I didn't come. Didn't have time. He died alone. The others, I tried. I tried so hard, but it wasn't enough. It's never enough. You did everything you could. Did I? Or did I make the wrong choices? Prioritize wrong? Move too slow? Miss something? How do I know I couldn't have saved them if I'd just been better, faster, smarter? He had no answer. There was no answer. Just questions. Endless questions. Second-guessing every decision, every choice, every second spent on one man that could have been spent on another. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept seeing their faces. Williams, Lee, the others. Kept replaying the moments, looking for what I'd missed, what I could have done differently, how I could have saved them. Found nothing. Just randomness. Just chaos. Just the reality that no matter how good you are, no matter how hard you try, you can't save everyone. War kills. That's what it does. And sometimes all you can do is watch and count and carry. I'd been in Vietnam 4 months, 8 more to go. 8 more months of this, of blood and death and impossible choices, of saving some and losing others, of carrying weight that kept getting heavier. I didn't know if I'd make it. Didn't know if I'd survive physically or mentally. Didn't know if there'd be anything left of David Chen when this was over. But I knew one thing. I'd keep trying, keep running toward the screaming, keep making the impossible choices, keep failing, keep succeeding, keep carrying the weight. Because that's what medics do. We try. Even when it's hopeless, even when we know we'll fail, even when it destroys us, we try. Because the alternative is giving up. And giving up means they all die. So we try, and we break, and we carry the pieces forever. July through September 1970, 3 months that blurred together into one continuous nightmare. Patrols, ambushes, firefights, casualties, always casualties. My aid bag became an extension of my body. Never put it down, never left it behind, even slept with it. Because you never knew when the call would come, when someone would need you, when seconds would mean the difference between life and death. The company got replacements, fresh troops to fill the gaps from Cambodia. Young, terrified, unprepared. I'd look at them and see corpses, not because I wanted to, but because I'd learned. In Vietnam, everyone was temporary. Some lasted months, some lasted days, some lasted hours. I stopped learning names, stopped getting close, easier that way. When they got hit, when I was working on them, they were just patients, just bodies, just wounds to treat, not people, not friends, not kids with families and futures, detachment. The only way to survive, the only way to function. Care too much and you'd break. I'd seen it happen to other medics. They'd freeze, they'd panic, they'd go catatonic. Caring killed you, so you stopped caring. But you couldn't stop completely. Had to care enough to do the job, to run through fire, to risk your life, to try. Just couldn't care so much that you felt it. Couldn't let it in. Couldn't let it break you. A tightrope. Impossible balance. Care but don't care. Try but don't hope. Save but don't mourn. Walk the line and maybe you'd survive. August brought monsoons, rain, constant rain, everything wet, everything muddy. Wounds got infected faster. Jungle rot on everyone's feet, immersion foot, fungal infections. I treated more disease than combat wounds some weeks. But the combat wounds still came. Booby traps mostly. The NVA had pulled back, gone to ground. But they'd left presents, mines, punji pits, tripwires. The jungle was full of them. You couldn't see them, couldn't predict them. Just walked and hoped and waited for the explosion. Private Garcia stepped on a toe popper. Small mine, not meant to kill, meant to maim. Blew his foot off, shattered his ankle. He'd live, but he'd never walk right again. Another medevac. Another life changed forever. Another ghost in my collection. Corporal Henderson triggered a booby trap. Grenade in a can. Shrapnel tore through his legs, both femoral arteries. I tourniquet both legs. Double amputation, probably, but he'd live. Got him out. Dust off. Gone. Another save. Another empty victory. The saves didn't feel like victories anymore. They felt like delays, like I was just postponing their deaths, or their suffering, or their realization that surviving didn't mean you were whole, that coming home wasn't the same as being home. September 12th, we were ambushed again. Smaller firefight than Cambodia, but close quarters, jungle thick, visibility maybe 10 feet. They hit us. We hit back. Chaos, confusion. Friendly fire was a real risk. I heard medic, ran toward it, found 2 men down. One was enemy, NVA soldier, shot through the chest, sucking chest wound. The other was one of ours, Private Morrison, gut shot. Both dying, both needing immediate treatment, both looking at me. Triage. Easy choice, right? Save your own. Let the enemy die. That's the rule. That's what you're supposed to do. But the NVA soldier was 19, maybe 20. Same age as Morrison. Same age as me. Same terrified eyes. Same desperate breathing. Same hope that I could save him. I went to Morrison first. Started working, packing the wound, starting an IV. Standard trauma protocol. But I could see the NVA soldier. Could hear his breathing getting worse. Could see him drowning in his own blood. Morrison would survive. Gut shot was bad, but not immediately fatal. I could stabilize him. The NVA soldier wouldn't last 5 minutes without intervention. I should have let him die. Should have focused on Morrison. Should have followed the rules. Should have remembered we were enemies. That he'd been trying to kill us. That he'd kill again if he survived. But I couldn't. Couldn't watch him drown. Couldn't ignore him. Couldn't let him die when I could save him. I left Morrison, went to the NVA soldier, chest seal, positioning, kept his airway clear. He looked at me, confused, scared, grateful, enemy, patient, human. My platoon saw me, treating the enemy, leaving Morrison. Some understood, some didn't. Heard muttering, anger. What are you doing, Doc? Why are you helping him? Let him die. But I couldn't. Geneva Convention said, treat all wounded, enemy or friendly. Give them the same care. But more than that, deeper than that, I couldn't watch someone die when I could help. Couldn't make that choice based on what uniform they wore. I stabilized the NVA soldier, went back to Morrison, finished treating him. Both survived. Both got evacuated. Morrison to our hospital. The NVA soldier to POW medical care. Both lived because I'd treated both. Sergeant Miller pulled me aside afterward. That was a risk, Doc. Treating the enemy before our own. They were both dying. I treated the most critical first. He was NVA. He was a patient. Miller studied me. You're a better man than me, Doc. Or a more foolish one. Not sure which. Neither was I. In the moment, it felt right. Later, I second-guessed. Morrison could have died while I treated the enemy. Could have bled out. Could have been added to my list of failures. Because I'd made a choice, the hardest choice, to see the enemy as human. The guys in my platoon were split. Half thought I was a hero, living up to the medic's oath, treating all wounded. The other half thought I was a traitor, helping the enemy, risking American lives for enemy soldiers. I didn't know what I was, just knew I'd made a choice my conscience could live with, even if it meant others couldn't understand, even if it meant I'd second-guess forever. By October, I'd been in country 8 months, 4 months to go, 73 casualties treated, 58 saved, 15 lost. The numbers kept growing. The weight kept accumulating. The ghosts kept multiplying. I'd stopped sleeping more than a few hours a night. Couldn't. Too many faces. Too many screams. Too many moments replaying. What if I'd moved faster? What if I'd chosen differently? What if I'd been better? The questions never stopped. never had answers, just haunted, just accused. Just reminded me that perfection was impossible, but anything less meant someone died. My hands shook sometimes, not during treatment, never during treatment. Adrenaline kept them steady, but after, in the quiet moments, they'd shake, uncontrollable tremors, my body acknowledging what my mind denied, that I was breaking, that this was destroying me, that I couldn't do this forever, but I had 4 more months. 4 more months of blood and death and impossible choices. 4 more months of saving some and losing others. 4 more months of carrying weight that kept getting heavier. I didn't know if I'd make it. Didn't know if I'd survive. Didn't know what would be left of me when this was over. But I kept going, kept treating, kept trying, because that's what medics do. We keep going until we can't, until we break, until there's nothing left. And I was getting close, so close to nothing. November 7th, 1970. The day I broke, 10 months in country, 2 months from going home. So close to making it, so close to surviving. We were on a routine patrol, sweep and clear, looking for enemy activity near a village. Intelligence said it was clean, friendly, no VC presence, just farmers, just civilians. Intelligence was wrong. The village was a trap. VC had been there for days, waiting. They'd evacuated the civilians, turned the whole place into an ambush site, bunkers, spider holes, firing positions. We walked right in. The shooting started from everywhere. Every building, every tree line, every direction. We were surrounded, pinned down, taking casualties immediately. Medic! Medic! The calls came from every direction. I ran. Automatic. Didn't think. Just ran toward the screaming. First casualty was Private Chen. No relation, different Chen. Shot through the lung, collapsed. I worked on him, chest seal. 4. Morphine, stabilized him, moved to the next. Corporal Davis, head wound, partial. Not fatal, but bad. Bleeding heavily. I packed it, wrapped it, moved on. Private Williams, not the Williams from June. Different Williams. There were always more, always replacements, always fresh meat. He had multiple wounds, legs, arms, chest, too many, too severe, expectant. I gave him morphine, all I could do. Held his hand. He was 19, from Georgia, wanted to be a teacher. He died while I held him, eyes open, looking at me, scared, lost, gone. I moved to the next, and the next, and the next. 6 casualties. 8, 10, lost count, just kept moving, kept treating, kept trying. Then I heard a sound that stopped me cold, a child crying. We were in a village, VC occupied. But where were the civilians? They should have been evacuated, should have been gone. But that was a child, crying, terrified, in the middle of a firefight. I found her in a bunker, maybe 8 years old, Vietnamese, covered in blood, not her blood, her mother's blood. The mother was dead, shot, caught in the crossfire or executed. Didn't matter, dead. And the child was clinging to her, crying, calling for her. The girl was wounded too, shrapnel in her side. Not life-threatening, but bad, needed treatment. I reached for her. She screamed, pulled away, terrified, of me, of Americans, of everyone. It's okay, I said, knowing she didn't understand. I'm a doctor. I help. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone, the gentle approach. She let me touch her, let me examine the wound, let me treat it. I patched her up, bandaged the wound. She was still crying, still holding her dead mother's hand. What was I supposed to do? Leave her there? Take her with us? Neither was safe. Neither was right. An explosion nearby, close, too close. Part of the bunker collapsed, debris falling. I covered the girl with my body, protected her from the rubble. When the dust settled, we were both alive. Both okay. But the fighting was getting worse. We were being overrun, had to pull back, had to retreat, had to leave wounded behind. The call came over the radio. Fall back. Fighting withdrawal. Get out while we can. I picked up the girl, carried her, ran, stayed with my platoon. Shooting had gotten intense. We were taking casualties during the retreat. Men getting hit, falling, crying out. "Doc!" "Man down." I looked back. Sergeant Miller. Hit. Down. Not moving. I had the girl. Had to get her out. Had to get to Miller. Couldn't do both. Had to choose again. Always choosing. I gave the girl to another soldier. "Get her out. Get her to safety." Then I ran back toward the shooting, back toward Miller. He was hit bad. Chest, abdomen, multiple wounds, massive bleeding. I started working. Pressure, bandages, tourniquets where I could. But there were too many wounds, too much damage, too much blood. "Doc," he whispered, blood bubbling from his mouth. "Doc, I'm done." "No, you're not. Stay with me." "I'm done. You know it. I know it. I can save you." "You can't save everyone, Doc." "You tried. You saved so many, but you can't save me. Let me go." "I won't. I won't let you die." But I could see it. See the truth. See what I'd been denying. He was right. Too much damage. Too much blood loss. Even if I got him on a medevac right now, he wouldn't make it. He was expectant. The category I hated. The choice I couldn't accept. But I had to. Had to accept. Had to let go. Had to watch another friend die because I couldn't save him. Because my skills weren't enough. Because I was just a 20-year-old kid with a bag of supplies pretending I could cheat death. Miller died in my arms. The man who'd warned me, who'd guided me, who'd kept me alive through 10 months, gone. Added to my list, my collection, my burden. I broke, right there, in the middle of a firefight, in the middle of a retreat. I broke, started screaming, crying, hitting the ground. All the emotion I'd been holding back, all the deaths, all the failures, all the weight. It came pouring out. Someone grabbed me, dragged me, got me out of the kill zone, got me to safety. I was non-functional, destroyed, shattered. We made it back to base, counted casualties. 12 dead, 20 wounded. Worst day since Cambodia. Miller was dead. Others too. Men I'd tried to save, men I'd failed. And a little girl, orphaned, traumatized, alive because I'd treated her. But her mother was dead, her village destroyed, her life ruined. Had I saved her or condemned her to worse? They medevaced me out, not physically wounded, mentally. Combat fatigue, breakdown, couldn't function, couldn't treat, couldn't be a medic anymore. I was done. They sent me to a hospital, Da Nang, psychiatric ward, put me in a bed, gave me sedatives, tried to put me back together. But I was shattered, broken in ways that wouldn't heal. I'd treated 89 casualties in 10 months, saved 69, lost 20. 20 men who'd died despite everything I'd done, 20 faces that haunted me, 20 ghosts that wouldn't leave. And now Miller. 21. The number that broke me. The weight that crushed me. The death I couldn't accept because he'd been right. About everything. About the job. About the cost. About the impossibility of saving everyone. Your best won't be enough, he'd said. Never is. But you'll try anyway. That's what makes it hurt. He'd been right. It hurt. God, it hurt. More than any wound. More than any injury. It hurt in places medicine couldn't reach, couldn't heal, couldn't fix. I was broken, destroyed, done. And I didn't know if I'd ever be whole again. They kept me in the psychiatric ward for 3 weeks. Therapy, medication, group sessions with other broken soldiers. We'd sit in a circle and talk about what we'd seen, what we'd done, what we couldn't forget. Some guys had killed civilians. Some had committed atrocities. Some had just seen too much death. We were all haunted, all broken, all trying to figure out how to function again. I didn't talk much. What was there to say? That I'd failed to save 21 men. That I'd played God and made choices about who lived and who died. That I'd held boys while they bled out calling for their mothers. That I'd broken my Hippocratic oath every time I'd chosen one patient over another. The therapist said I hadn't broken anything, said I'd done my best, said triage was necessary, said I'd saved more than I'd lost, said I should focus on the victories, not the failures. But the victories didn't feel like victories. They felt like debts. Every man I saved was a man who had to live with what he'd seen, what he'd done, what he'd become. Sometimes I wondered if death wasn't the kinder option. They medically discharged me in December 1970. 11 months in Vietnam, 1 month short of a full tour, sent me home. Purple Heart for the arm wound I'd barely noticed, Bronze Star for valor, Combat Medical Badge, a chest full of ribbons for being good at failing. I landed in San Francisco, my hometown. Should have felt like coming home, felt like landing on an alien planet. The airport was full of protesters, anti-war demonstrators. They saw my uniform, started shouting, "Baby killer, war criminal, murderer." I didn't respond, didn't defend myself, didn't tell them I'd never killed anyone, that I'd only tried to save, that I'd broken myself trying to heal. They didn't want to hear it. They wanted a villain. I was convenient. I changed out of my uniform in the airport bathroom, threw it in a trash can, never wanted to see it again. Took a cab to my parents' house in Chinatown. They were waiting. They'd aged a decade in the year I'd been gone. War does that to families, too. My mother cried. My father tried to smile. Neither knew what to say. I looked different, felt different, was different. The David who'd left was gone. This was someone else, someone broken, someone hollow. They tried to help, made my favorite foods, gave me space, asked gentle questions, but they couldn't reach me, couldn't bridge the gap, couldn't understand what I'd been through, what I'd seen, what I'd become. I couldn't go back to school, couldn't finish my pre-med degree, couldn't become a doctor. How could I? I'd already been a doctor, a battlefield doctor. And I'd failed over and over. Why would I want to keep doing that? Keep failing, keep watching people die? I tried to work, got a job at a clinic, medical assistant, helping real doctors. It lasted 2 days. First trauma case came in, car accident, woman bleeding, critical. I froze, completely froze, couldn't move, couldn't help, just stood there while others worked. I saw Miller, saw Williams, saw Johnson, saw all of them, all 21, all the faces, all the deaths, all superimposed on this woman, this patient, this person I should have been helping. They had to pull me out of the room. I quit that day, never went back. The nightmares were brutal, every night, sometimes multiple times. I'd be back in Vietnam, in the jungle, in the village, working on casualties, watching them die, making impossible choices, failing, always failing. I'd wake up with my hands in the air, going through the motions, applying pressure, starting IVS, treating wounds that weren't there, saving people who didn't exist, lost in the memories. The VA tried to help, more therapy, more medication, group sessions with other Vietnam veterans. We'd share stories, compare wounds, physical and psychological, try to make sense of what we'd been through. I met other medics, other corpsmen, other people who'd tried to save lives in hell. We understood each other, understood the weight, the guilt, the impossible choices, the faces that never left. One medic had saved over 100 men, lost 30. He'd killed himself 6 months after coming home. Couldn't carry it anymore. Couldn't live with the 30. Couldn't accept that saving 100 wasn't enough to balance the scales. I understood, thought about it myself. Often. What was the point of surviving? Of going on? I hadn't died in Vietnam, but I hadn't really lived either. Just existed. Just breathed. Just carried weight that kept getting heavier. But I didn't do it. Didn't end it. Because that felt like quitting. Like letting them down again. The 21 I'd lost. The 69 I'd saved. Miller. All of them. If I quit, their deaths meant even less. If I quit, I'd have failed them twice. So I kept going. Got sober. Stopped drinking. Started working. Manual labor. Construction. Physical work that didn't require thinking. That didn't remind me of medicine. That let me exhaust my body so maybe my mind would rest. It didn't work. But it was something. Movement. Purpose. Survival. I'm 74 years old now. It's been 54 years since Vietnam. Half a century later, and I still carry it. Still see the faces. Still hear the screams. Still feel the blood on my hands. I never became a doctor. Never finished my degree. Never went back to medicine. Couldn't. Every time I thought about it, I saw them. The 21st, the ones I couldn't save, the ones who died while I tried, the ones who haunted me. I never married. Never had kids. Couldn't. Couldn't get close to people. Couldn't risk caring. Couldn't risk losing. I'd learned in Vietnam that everyone you care about dies eventually. Better not to care. Better to keep distance. Better to stay alone. I worked construction for 40 years, retired in 2010, live alone in a small apartment, no family, no close friends, just me and my memories, my ghosts, my burden. People thank me for my service sometimes. See the Vietnam veteran hat, the medical badge pin. They say I'm a hero, say I saved lives, say they're grateful. I don't respond, don't know what to say, because I don't feel like a hero, feel like a failure. Saved 69, but lost 21. 69 to 21 should feel like a victory, feels like defeat, because I remember the 21, remember their faces, their names, their last moments, remember choosing who lived and who died, remember playing God and getting it wrong, remember being not enough, never enough. Miller was right. Your best won't be enough. Never is. But you'll try anyway. That's what makes it hurt. I tried. God, I tried. Ran through fire. Worked under enemy guns. Made impossible choices. Gave everything I had. And it wasn't enough. Wasn't enough to save them all. Wasn't enough to bring them home. Wasn't enough to justify my survival when better men died. Vietnam medics had the highest PTSD rates of any specialty. Makes sense. We saw the worst without the release of fighting back. Couldn't shoot, couldn't kill. Just watched, just failed. Just carried the weight of every death. Some medics adjusted, moved on, became doctors or nurses, used their experience, made peace with the losses. I envy them. Don't know how they did it. Don't know how they kept going. Kept caring, kept trying. I couldn't. The cost was too high, the weight too heavy, the memories too vivid. I couldn't go back to medicine, couldn't risk failing again, couldn't watch more people die despite my best efforts. So I stopped, walked away, became something else, something smaller, something safer, something that couldn't fail because it never tried. But the guilt followed. The question, could I have saved more? Could I have been better? Could I have made different choices? Could I have brought them home? No answers, just questions, endless questions. 54 years of questions with no resolution, no peace, no closure, just carrying, just existing, just surviving when better men didn't. I'm 74 years old. My health is failing. Won't be long now. And I'm tired. So tired. Tired of carrying. Tired of remembering. tired of seeing their faces, tired of hearing their screams, tired of living with the weight. When I die, maybe I'll see them again. Miller, Williams, Johnson, all 21. Maybe I can apologize. Maybe I can explain. Maybe they'll forgive me for failing them, for not being good enough, for not saving them. Or maybe there's nothing. No afterlife, no reunion, no redemption, just an end. Silence, peace, release from the burden. Either way, I'm ready. Ready to stop carrying, stop remembering, stop failing, stop being the medic who wasn't enough. They called me Doc, said I saved lives, said I was a hero, said I made a difference. But all I see are the 21s. All I feel is the failure. All I carry is the weight of not being enough, never being enough. I was a medic in Vietnam. I tried to save lives under fire. Saved some, lost some, broke completely. And I never came home, not really. Part of me is still there, still in the jungle, still treating the wounded, still watching them die, still making impossible choices, still failing, still carrying 21 ghosts that will never let me rest, still being doctor, the medic who tried, who failed, who broke, still bleeding from wounds no one can see. That will never heal. That killed me slowly over 54 years. The war ended in 1975. But for medics, for corpsmen, for the ones who tried to save lives and watched them die anyway, the war never ends. It just keeps killing, slowly, quietly, one broken healer at a time. We never came home. We're still there, still trying, still failing, still carrying the weight of everyone we couldn't save, still paying the price for caring too much in a place where caring meant breaking, and the breaking never stops.